They're eating the dogs, Kieran, in Tuscaloosa.
They're eating the
you know
dogs.
that?
They were
They're
eating
the dogs.
Oh, a meth raccoon.
Yeah.
Just awful. There is nothing good about this. It's the worst possible scenario for the CFP, for the national championship.
Notre Dame is a mid-program with really good marketing.
And the Michigan players are going to look at that, and anybody who's committing to Michigan in the next years and just go, I want to beat them even more. Like, I wanted to beat them when I first came to this school. Recruits are going to see this.
And we're also sorry that you have to watch a Brian Kelly coach football team. We can only imagine how difficult that must be for you, knowing that you're not going to win a big game ever with him as your coach and that you're rooting for a child murderer.
This podcast has gone off to a really weird start, but I like it.
I love it, though. I'm a big fan. We are back. Kieran, I realized two things during our intro.
Yes.
One, I wear this sweatshirt a lot while we're recording.
Okay.
And two, I like how you've been consistently in the same place recording all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like my background changes a lot. Like some of the clips, I'm down in our office. Luckily, this isn't from a couple years ago where I was in my other apartment, or even before that when I was living at home still. And then I was in just the plain white brick wall behind me where it looked like I was recording from a prison cell. So we've spruced it up a little bit on my end, and your end's always been spruced up, Kieran, and I can't talk.
Well, I gotta add something behind me. I know I said that a couple podcasts ago, and I still haven't done it. I have a Penn State flag. I just am too lazy to get it out. I'll have to do that today. I'll have to do that after we're finished.
How big is the flag?
It's actually about the size of that wall, maybe a slightly bigger. So I might have to cut a P or an E or something like that.
Yeah, just
kind
of wrap it around the wall a little bit. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
But we're back. We're talking spring games, some extensions. Kieran has a mystery topic, and I'm scared. A little turned on, but mostly scared. But we'll just jump into the first one. We've been talking about spring games and how they're not on TV and how they're not being aired, and they're way different this year, and it sucks. Well, Colorado, we've talked about this as well, did say, hey, we're going to play Syracuse in our spring game. And they both agreed. Him and Fran Brown were like, yep, perfect. And then the NCAA, in their infinite wisdom, said no. And there are some people with thoughts on it. Fran Brown, Syracuse's coach, said, we should have just told Coach Belichick and Bill O'Brien to come up with it. You know, damn well they weren't about to allow Coach Prime and Fran Brown to be the first two guys to do it. I'm just messing with you, NCAA. And Mike Gundy, who of course he had thoughts on it, I'm not sure how they have grounds to say you can't do it. Like if somebody just goes and does it, what are they going to do to them? They're going to punish them and take away scholarships, Mike Gundy. That is what they're going to do. But Karen, what are your thoughts on the NCAA squashing this?
It's, again, a day late and a dollar short, much like we've been saying for years. It's one of those things that if two coaches and programs agree to something, provided they are not actively recruiting players from the other side or doing some nefarious thing in the background, just let them play against each other. If they want to, I don't know, shell out and show all of their plays in a spring game, let them. Because they both agreed, mutual agreement that this is an okay thing. We both want this to happen. So apart from anything actually illegal, let them play. It's so dumb to be, it wasn't in time and you already had your spring game scheduled or your practices session scheduled or whatever. It's just lame. It's a lame attempt to do anything to have authority over these schools. So just dumb.
I agreed with you at first. Not saying you did anything in your thought and you're speaking about it to make me change my mind and go, no, Kieran's an idiot. No, when I first saw it, I'm like, this is stupid. And on paper, it is very stupid. However, if one of these kids goes down in a spring game, I think that's a terrible look for the NCAA. I think you pointed out nefarious practices, trying to poach players. And look, if both coaches agree whatever. But I think it's going to come back to player safety. You have to protect these kids from themselves and their coaches. There are plenty of coaches in the world who do not care about some 19-year-old freshman, redshirt freshman, if it means they could get another win and ruin their life. I think there's just another situation where a kid could get hurt. I do see the NCAA stepping in here.
See, I disagree with that because an injury, let's say an ACL, one of the worst injuries you can possibly receive on a football field. An ACL could happen in practice. It could happen, walking throughout campus. Say it snows at your campus, especially up in Colorado. You slip, fall, tear your ACL. I'm not saying it's a likely injury. I'm just saying it can happen. It can happen during practice. It can happen during warm-ups. There's a litany of different reasons why somebody would be injured for something like this. Frankly, this is an opportunity for both teams and coaches to get a feel of how their players are going to play up against actual competition come September. I don't think that player safety really factors in here because an injury like that could occur at any point during practice. It's not like this is a specific instance. It could happen the first game of the season. It would be the same injury, same recovery time.
I don't disagree. I think it is a big optics thing, though. Like, what sounds worse to you? I'm not trying to put this out in the world, so knock on wood real quick. I have a bookshelf here. Drew Aller goes down preparing for a season.
Okay.
Or Drew Aller goes down playing meaningless game against another school.
All right, yeah. When you put it like that, sure. Or
which is how people would put it.
Yeah, no, I agree. But alternatively, Drew Aller goes down in practice after errant snap. It's the exact same injury. It's the exact same problem. And the only difference is that it happened while another team was there. That's it. That's the only difference.
Yes.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. I hope people will be smart enough to look past that.
I hope so, but I know they won't.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, people are idiots. Yeah, we have to account for that.
Because, Gary, you would have to hear all season, well, if James Franklin didn't schedule that meaningless spring game against Nevada, then we would be winning a natty. That's all you would be hearing.
Yeah. And I agree, but that is a dumb argument that people would make. I'm just saying that. It's a dumb argument.
Have you ever listened to sports radio, Kieran?
I know.
Specifically the ones where people
we are trying to be better. We're trying to be better, Kev.
Yeah, we don't take calls.
We really should. No, we should. Oh. No, we don't take calls. We just start calling AD offices to see who will pick up.
Unfortunately, I think we record too late. Well,
not on the West Coast.
Well, what's Stanford's AD's office?
Hello, this is Secretary to Andrew Luck. We just want to say he's been doing a great job, and we really appreciate him.
Yeah, it's all right. I looked up Stanford AD, and it's financial aid. That's
all right.
Not what I care about. I couldn't get into Stanford if I bribed them. Oh, Stanford Department of Athletics does have a phone number.
Of course they do.
Like listed phone number is more what I mean. Who is their AD? I should know that.
Oh, yeah. I keep thinking it's
Brendan Muir. Why is his title absurdly hard? The Jackwish and Kenninger Director of Athletics.
That's a weird title.
Oh, it also just says his phone number listed.
Do we just call the AD?
What? Wait, what? Why did it take me to the medical school? No, Stanford Cardinal. Yeah, yeah, he is the athletic director. Yeah, we'll call him next week. Next week, Stanford's athletic director is making an appearance on the show, whether he likes it or not.
This is going to be really messed up.
Yeah, it's going to be weird having my phone number blocked by an entire school. This number, don't allow them to call anyone at this school ever again.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. But speaking of Colorado, Prime signed an extension, 5-year, $54 million deal, making him the highest paid coach in the Big 12, I believe. Ken, what are your thoughts on Prime's big payday?
I have to say, despite me not liking him personally, he's been quite good as a coach. I think at Colorado, they have seen that program absolutely turn around from the absolute bottomless pit that was feeding it. And if Prime wasn't hired by Colorado, I could legitimately see Colorado getting rid of their football program within the next 5 to 10 years. But with Prime and all his success and the amount that he's been able to bring in students from CU Boulder, I mean, he deserves every penny of it, frankly.
The football team go 500 for the length of this contract. And I don't mean like 1 year they're going 9-4, then 8-4, and then 4-8. No, they could go like 7-6, 6-7 every year. This contract would be well worth it.
Oh,
the amount
absolutely.
Off the field, the amount of money he has brought into that school for the football program is absurd. Yeah. The amount of talent he's brought in is absurd. It is money well spent.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot of money. It is over $10 million a year, which does make him the highest paid coach, makes him higher paid than Mike Gundy, which is wild. Although Mike Gundy did just take a pay cut. But it's not one of these mega long deals.
Right. It's a appropriate timeline is what it is.
Like the buyout will never be super crazy just because it's so short. And I don't think it took Deion a lot of convincing to take a deal that short. I don't know if he wants to be in Colorado long term. Obviously 5 years is a commitment. I'm not saying that just to shit on him, but he has kind of entertained other offers before. So I don't think he wants to be there for 10, 15 years like some of these coaches are signing. But yeah, I think it's nice to see Colorado. I don't disagree with your point about they might have cut the football program. It's crazy to hear because they did win a national championship 25 years ago, but they were that bad.
Yeah. They were dreadful. I mean, you could see like the stadium difference. Like people took the clips between like I think it was like 20 the difference between like 2019 and then like when Deion got hired, and they only used 2019 because obviously COVID and the years prior following didn't really count. And there's maybe 30 people. Like you could count very easily 30 people in the stands, and now it's absolutely packed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And goes back again to how much money he's brought that program. Speaking of coaches, James Franklin, your favorite, Kieran. After years of us playing, is James Franklin coaching for his job? He finally made the college football playoffs. He didn't get knocked out in the first go. He was doing an interview and said he finally has alignment he had been pounding the table for 12 years, mentioning the board, the president, the AD, and himself seem to all be in sync. Finally, as a Penn State fan, how does that make you feel?
Super, super depressed because and I'll tell you, I don't think you're expecting that answer, were you? No, I'll tell you why. I
disagree with everything you said.
I'll tell you why. First of all, it should not have taken you 12 years to get to this point. I understand the situation Penn State was in when they first hired you was not optimal. Don't get me wrong. Nobody doubted that, right? Your expectations were absolutely rock bottom. All you needed to do was go 500 your first year, success. The fact that only now is the issue is your highlight, your alignment perfect with the AD, the board, the president, whatever. Not when you had all-star running back Saquon Barkley at the helm, or excuse me, McSorley at the helm, but Saquon Barkley behind you. Saquon Barkley can win you a natty. It would be a tough sell, but he could. You do not have I don't believe that they have that caliber of player, even across the entire skill section. So tight ends, running backs, and receivers that could match the offensive output that Saquon Barkley had in 2016. Why did it take you 12 years to do this? Why couldn't you have done it at year 6? Right? I will give you the 4 years initially, right, to get like one cycle of your guys through a system. That's fine. But after that, it should be almost every single year. It should never have reached year 12.
That's fair. Going into year 12, how does it make you feel?
Depressed, Kev. This is
for the upcoming season.
Yes, depressed. I am 100% serious on this point. He is, love him to death. Don't get me wrong. He frustrates me to no end, but I do love him. But like, I'm thinking now, like, what wasn't good enough before? What is now so perfect that this is going to be the year where it all changes? No, you should have handled this way earlier.
I feel like part of it, though, was probably he finally looked competent in a big game. So then everyone else like, okay, James.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not trying to be mean, Ken. I think this is their apex.
Oh, yeah,
this is
sure.
The best they'll ever be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying next year they're not going to do this. I'm saying they could do this for the next 5 years. And like this level is the highest they will get.
It's plateau. It's the plateau. Yes. They're not going to get any higher than this.
Unfortunately for you. Also, real quick, we talked about the state of Penn State football before James Franklin got there. I have said many mean things about this man. Shout out Bill O'Brien for taking that job and also keeping the ship upright right after. Because it wouldn't be crazy to go from 9-4 with Joe Paterno in 2010. I think it was 2010. No, 2011, I think. Yeah, 2011. To then all that stuff comes out, and then suddenly they're 0-12, 1-11, because a lot of guys jump ship. But Bill O'Brien keeping them at 8-4 probably did a good job laying the groundwork for James Franklin. So I felt I should say something nice about Bill O'Brien for maybe the first time since he left the Patriots. The first time.
Yeah, he's a great manager of people. He's not necessarily the best coach, but he's a great manager of people.
Well, he said some things.
Okay, fair.
Comparing DeAndre Hopkins to Aaron Hernandez, probably not great.
Okay, granted.
Great people skills. But keeping the people happy, Kieran, that's something that's really important in the world of hospitality, in the coaching world. Coastal Carolina is doing what they can to keep the people happy. They're offering free concessions this fall for soda, water, hot dogs, nachos, and popcorn for every game.
Legends.
Unbelievable.
Legends. That's simple as.
I'm proud to own a Chanticleer's polo. So proud.
That's great.
Maybe the best thing I got from that trip to Myrtle Beach.
That's great.
My fiance is going to be pissed because that's where I proposed, but no, the Coastal Carolina polo. That's what matters.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I love you. Yeah, so it's good for them. And the teal field is awesome. No big news here, which isn't really going to be a conversation. But the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley is adding a football team debuting this year. Their stadium mock-up's actually kind of sick. And since we were talking last couple weeks about teams not adding a football program, dropping from D1 to D3, it is cool to see a school add one at the D1 level, which is crazy. But I didn't think either of us would have much thoughts on it.
No, I mean, we have to, it's one of those things that you have to kind of see the results on the field before you start judging things. I mean, granted, they're going to go 0-12 or whatever, but you know,
they're going to go 0-12 and then fire their coach.
Yep.
Immediately. The Kennesaw State game plan. But on to things we can actually talk about. Stanford, after firing Troy Taylor for his mistreatment of staffers, has found their interim head coach, being Frank Reich of Eagles and Colts fame. He coached somewhere else too, and Panthers.
Panthers, yep.
What do you think of the move?
I think it's a safe play for an interim coach because if you take a look at his coaching career so far, it has not been great. Now, he did win the 2017 Super Bowl with the Eagles as the offensive coordinator. But other than that, he has either lasted a year and been fired or a mid-season and fired. And that was at least with his head coaching career. So it's not a great look, but it's sure as hell a safe thing to do right off the bat.
I think naming him interim right out the gate is a bit, I don't want to say suspicious. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him, but why not just call him your head coach? Just say, like, even if you both know, him and Andrew Luck know, like, this is going to be a 1-year thing.
Yeah.
It could be if another coach becomes available in the offseason, they might just switch tactics to him. But I hope Frank Reich sticks around at least the year, because RJ_CFB on Twitter tweeted classic ACC matchup coming November 8th. Frank Reich Stanford versus Bill Belichick's North Carolina.
Oh, that's going to be great.
And I'm going to be honest, that tweet, as hilarious it is, made me realize we are in hell for sports. that is an ACC matchup.
Yeah, that's it's not right.
Brutal. I hate it, but I do like the move. I think, by all accounts, Frank Reich's a pretty good guy. So it's a good stabilizing presence. Kind of change the culture a little bit. If you can find a guy similar to replace him as the full-time head coach, he doesn't have to start from the ground floor with a complete culture overhaul, which it sounds like Stanford needs.
Yeah, definitely.
Allegedly not a great guy. Penn State head coach Kenni Burns was placed on administrative leave for what
no one knows. No one knows. It's ridiculous.
And is it just he's bad at his job?
Maybe. I mean, he did go 1-23 in his first 2 seasons as the, what are they called? The
Golden Flashes.
The Golden Flashes. Thank you. And this is just a cover for them firing him for poor performance, basically saying like, oh, we're not going to tell you the reason why. It was some other stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, Kent State hasn't said anything. Nobody has leaked anything. I saw one website that I'm not going to give any sort of recognition to, because they said what we've been hearing regarding Kenni Burns and Kent State, and you click on it, it's like, hey, pay to read this.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, doing that for a football page that has a high school section. That's not like a big name program or a big name publication. Yeah. Not doing it. You're not getting my money. And they also, they might have broken my computer. There we go. So I'm very curious to see what it is. I've talked about this before. I'm shocked schools haven't tried to get out of coach contracts if they're just bad, by saying it's negligence on their part and that's in violation of their contract.
Oh, yeah. So that's a great point. It's a results-based contract, and you could claim negligence if you win less than a quarter of your games.
Yeah, and then you have to find like examples of it. Like here, you punted it on 3rd down. You didn't call a timeout with 3 seconds left, down 1 at the other team's 20, and you had 3 timeouts left. Why didn't you call one? That is negligent. You're not getting your buyout.
That would be a good reason to fire somebody.
I'm also shocked a school has not tried to frame a coach for a crime.
God, No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why they haven't tried to frame a coach. Because if that got out and they got sued for like defamation or like conspiracy or whatever that crime is, that would just, I mean, it would shut the entire school down, frankly. Like that payout to the defendant would be a $2 billion.
That's true. It might just be worth it to pay the buyout. But you're telling me that oh God, I'm looking something up and he has not aged well. I'll get to that in a second.
He is not aged well. That's great.
You're telling me last year Florida State's AD wasn't sitting there, Mike, just I don't know, run a red light, hit someone, break some law so we can get out of this contract. Here's what I was reacting to, because we didn't talk about it last week, I don't think. Jeremy Pruitt is suing the NCAA for $100 million, basically arguing, hey, what I did, everyone else was doing it. Tennessee did it before I got there, so pay me $100 million.
A surefire way to get that money.
Yeah, and also kind of arguing, hey, like it's an absurd. And here's what I was talking about when I said, oh, he did not age well. Let me just. Here's what he looked like at Tennessee.
Okay.
Which was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what he looks like now.
Oof, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. He looks more like a thumb than he does in the original.
Yeah, not great. Not great. And he's only 50.
Football's hit him hard.
The Volunteers hit him hard. Peak male performance, Kieran.
You may not like it.
How is he only 50? Like, that was him 6 years ago. Is that a different person? Okay, yeah, so he's at Tennessee 4 years ago. That was him in 2021? No, that has to be a different person. Well, that's terrifying. Also completely derailed the show. Kieran, what's your mystery topic?
My mystery topic is, and it's hilarious that you kind of brought it up without me initiating it earlier, but news has, I don't want to say just broken because that seems kind of lame, but the coming fall 2025 to this year, the ASU, Fear the Forks, baby, their football stadium will be colored a maroon color. And, with the classic yellow or gold, whatever you want to say it, text writing, but it's a maroon field. And you brought up the fact Coastal Carolina has a teal field. So with that being said, what do you think about color fields? Do you like them? Do you not like them? And would you like to see more colleges do a color field?
Kieran, my sweet summer child. When did you see that post about the maroon field?
Today. Or
when
yesterday,
was it posted?
Technically. Yesterday.
What was yesterday?
April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. But my point is there are other
okay.
Other
I just wanted to make sure that you did not get got.
No, yeah, sorry. That did come off. I realized that did come off as that. But there are a bunch of other stadiums with this. So what do you think about it generally?
I love them.
Yeah.
And I could love them because not a lot of schools do them. Mm-hmm. But they're all iconic. You have the Boise State blue field, the Coastal Carolina teal field. You have the Eastern Washington red field. There's a purple one somewhere. Some high school in New Jersey does a black one, which is unbearably stupid.
Yeah.
But I do like them. I think they're very cool. I would probably not think they were as cool if every single team did it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because then it becomes very color dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Like if every school did it, I would probably go, okay, it's blue. cool.
It's kind of lost its luster.
Yeah, Cal posted something similar, and theirs was like piss yellow.
Oh,
and I was like, that's no.
That's more of an April Fool's joke than the ASU one, because the ASU one at least looks in the rendering good.
Yeah, that's true. It would be fire if they went to a maroon field. I think Boise State football tweeted out something similar, but with a green field.
I do know that they actually responded to that particular tweet with cease and desist. So
yeah, no, cease and desist. They said to Cal though with their gold field, do it, you won't. Everyone wants to make fun of the blue field until April 1st rolls around. It was not them who tweeted it. Another account tweeted, Boise State has unveiled a new field. They're moving away from the blue turf and going with natural grass. Jeremiah Dickey, the director of athletics for Boise State, said when hell freezes over. But yeah, love different colored fields.
Yeah.
I would hate it, I think, if the NFL did it, though.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Even if a handful of teams did it, like it's part of like what's weird and fun about college football. The NFL is just a soulless corporation. That's trying to make.
I will say this about color fields and like the fact that I think there's only 10, 12 schools have it, if I've counted correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, whatever. It's a handful of schools. I would love to see, and this is one thing that I think if they actually implemented this, the NCAA would get a huge boost in support from fans, would be that only group of 5 schools could color their fields in whatever color they choose. Like all the, the SEC, the ACC, all Power 5, Power 4 conferences had to be, playing in regulation, but group of 5 and Boise could be.
Yes. All right. We need some changes made. There's way too many blues.
Yeah.
Like Boise, I'm looking at them. Boise State can keep theirs. They were the first.
Yep.
Or the most notable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1986 is when they switched to the blue.
Wow, that's really early.
Yeah, jeez. And then University of New England Nor'easters in Biddeford, Maine have blue. Their D3. Carlson Stadium for Luther College Norse is blue. Ralph F. Della Camera Stadium, the New Haven Chargers, a lot of New England schools, blue. Tom Hawks Field in Tokyo, Japan, for the Japan America Football Association is also blue. They can keep that.
Yeah.
Oh, granted special permission and an international trademark from Boise State to use blue turf.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, apparently all these schools have to license it from Boise.
Really?
If it's the same shade of blue.
Oh, it's the same shade of blue. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because it looks like University of Maine or New England and Maine doesn't say it. Luther College doesn't say it. But then New Haven and Boise State reached an agreement in 2009 to license the use of Boise State's trademark blue field. They call their field a blue and yellow field as part of the agreement. And then obviously Japan special permission and international trademark. Some other fields, Drake Field for SUNY Morrisville is black. I hate it.
Yeah.
Then you got the Eastern Michigan Eagles with their gray field, Central Arkansas Bears with their purple and gray alternating every 5 yards. That's kind of dope. I've seen that one. Eastern Washington being red, nicknamed the Inferno. The Lindenwood Lynx, which is NAIA through 2019. Now it just says not applicable. Don't know why. They are red and gray alternating every 5 yards. Has been called the nation's most original (hideous) field. They closed the campus. and later sold
That's
it to the city of Belleville. And then, obviously, the teal, the surf turf, as they call it, apparently. Incredible. All right, Kennan. Do you want to get into some big brother, little brother discussions?
Let's do it.
I feel like we should explain that first. So,
Yes.
you always hear how there's a big brother and a little brother. Generally, it's interstate, but there are some outside of states and also some states. I saw some stuff. I was trying to research this. Shout out Kelsey from the High Low podcast for helping me put this list together. But it was like, oh, every state's a little brother. And Massachusetts was UMass. I would not call UMass a little brother to Boston College.
Yeah, that's not.
They don't play.
Yeah.
Like, people care more about Boston College because UMass is terrible. But, and then, like, UConn. There's no other D1 school in UConn or in Connecticut. So, but we're going to look at these and we're going to say if there is a true little brother, if you're twins, Karen, can you use the phrase Irish twins, or is that offensive?
Well, given that I don't know what Irish twins means,
it's siblings who are born close together in age, but not twins.
I don't think
typically within 12 months.
I don't think that's offensive.
Okay. All right, we're going to use it then. We're both white. We can use it. It's our word.
It's our word.
I should probably.
All right, whatever.
All right. So if we'll go like, oh yeah, no, that is, you are little brother. No, y'all are twins. You're the same. It's the same picture. Your honor. Or Irish twins. You're close, but it's one of you is a little bit older. First up, the Iron Bowl, Auburn versus Alabama. We're going to give a little history for this too. Both started their school's history in 1892 for football. Alabama has 51 wins. Auburn has 37. The overall record, Alabama is 947, 341, and 43. Auburn is 801, 473, and 47. Alabama has 18 natties. Auburn has 2. Alabama is 46, 29, and 3 in bowl games. Auburn is 24, 21, and 2. Alabama's leading the last 10 with a record of 8-2. Kieran, is Auburn a true little brother?
I would say, yeah, my gut reaction is yes. I would say that there's a small caveat in the sense that natties and bowl records are, obviously not against each other. They're not.
Yes.
Right. So you have to take that into consideration. But given the fact that the last 10 games have been 8-2 in favor of Alabama, and that Alabama has, if I count this correctly, 14 more wins head to head, I would say that Auburn would be the little brother that's, to put things into perspective, maybe this will make sense. They're not a little brother as my youngest brother is to me, which is 5 years, but they're more like a little brother to the middle child, which is 2 years. So they're kind of like that in between. They're the middle child. Auburn is the middle child in a 3-brother household.
Okay. I would say yes, they are very much so little brother. I did put the bowl record and Natty's record to kind of also give an idea of history.
Yeah.
Alabama blows them out of the water, and Auburn rolls tumors whenever Alabama loses because they don't have enough things to celebrate. So Auburn is the littlest of brothers.
Definitive. You've heard it here.
They are the little brother that always wants to hang out with you and go out to you, and you're like, go the hell away. I do not want to spend time with you. You mean nothing to me.
All right. Fair enough. Can't argue with that.
Yeah. Next up, the game, Michigan versus Ohio State. Michigan starting in 1879. Ohio State in 1890. Head-to-head win-loss. Michigan has 62 wins. Ohio State is 51. Michigan has the most wins in college football history with 1,012 with 358 losses and 36 ties. Ohio State is, I think, third with 978 wins, 335 losses, and 53 ties. Michigan, this is only claim natties, by the way. I didn't get into the validity of any claims. I did not go into unclaims. Michigan has 12 claimed natties. Ohio State has 9. Bowl record, Michigan is 24-29 in bowl games. Ohio State is 30-29. Ohio State leads in the last 10, 6-4. It's the same picture, Your Honor.
Yeah, it really is. It is two brothers that are both in high school kicking the ever-living shit out of one another. That's what this game is. Literally any year it can go either way.
Yeah, they're not little brother. Same exact thing. Sometimes one gets a leg up on the other, but in the end, it all evens out.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right.
God, I love that game. I hate both programs, but I love that game.
That's fair. It's always a good game. Yeah. Next up, rip our sweet prince Bedlam. Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma starting in 1895. Oklahoma State in 1901. That cannot be right. I mixed those two fields up real quick.
I was going to say.
Oklahoma State has 20 wins in the series. Oklahoma has 91. I think, I know what I did.
Yeah, okay.
I just mixed up the time.
Everything slipped. I got it.
Yeah. All right. God damn it. All right. Can't use that word on this program. Oklahoma is 950, 348, and 53. Oklahoma State is 640, 581, and 48. Oklahoma is 7 natties to Oklahoma State's 1. Oklahoma is 31, 26, and 1 in bowl games. Oklahoma State is 22 and 12. Oklahoma is 7-3 leading this series. Again, Oklahoma State is the littlest of brothers.
Yeah, this is arguably way worse than Auburn.
Oh, 100%. 70?
Yeah, that's absolutely. You're the smallest of brothers.
Also, maybe the Alabama-Auburn game would be further apart like that if they didn't stop playing for a bunch because Alabama got upset about something. Maybe it would be closer. Who knows? But yeah, no, that's a bad look for the Cowboys. Next up, you got the Egg Bowl. 1893 for Ole Miss, 1895 for Miss State, 66 wins for Ole Miss, 46 for Miss State. Ole Miss is a 675, 547, and 35 record, with Mississippi State having 588, 619, and 39. Ole Miss is 3 natties, which is 2 more than I thought they had. Mississippi State has 0, which is no more than I thought they had. I knew they were a bum program. Bowl record, Ole Miss 26-15, Miss State 15-11. Last 10, Ole Miss with 6 wins, Mississippi State with 4. It's Miss State, but they're closer to being Irish twins than Ole Miss fans want to admit.
Yeah, I agree.
They're like 19 months apart.
Yeah. That's definitely one of those rivalries where you would probably bet on Ole Miss, but you wouldn't necessarily be super comfortable unless it was a blowout.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's fair. And the head-to-head record, it's comfortably Ole Miss. The overall record, it's comfortably Ole Miss. But I think with those, the natties aren't as far apart as you would like, and the fact it's been a relatively back-and-forth series for the last 10 years. All right. Apple Cup, Washington State. Washington starting in 1889. Washington State in 1894. Head-to-head, Washington has 76 wins. Washington State has 34. Washington with a 781, 467, and 50 overall record. Washington State with 584, 587, and 45. Natties, Washington with 2. Washington State with 0. Bowl record 21-1-1 for Washington. 8-11 for Washington State. Washington has 8 wins over the last 10 years. Washington State has 2. I feel like this is kind of hypocritical because I feel like this is outside of the head-to-head record. It's very similar to the last one, but Washington State gives off very bad little brother vibes.
Yeah, 100% it does. It's similar to the Oklahoma OK State one, but not the gap isn't as large, but it's essentially the same thing. It's very much little brother status for Washington State.
Yeah. I might change my Egg Bowl. I think that one might actually be little brother. I'm not sure though. I can't.
What do you mean by that?
Before I said they're close to be. I did say little brother, but close to being Irish twins actually for Egg Bowl. Okay, never mind. I got confused. Next up, Palmetto Bowl, Clemson versus South Carolina. Clemson starting in 1896, South Carolina in 1892. Clemson is leading the series 73-44. Clemson has 804 wins. South Carolina 644. I'm not going to do the whole records anymore to save time. Clemson has 3 natties to South Carolina 0. Clemson is 27-23 in bowl games, and South Carolina is 10-16. 8-2 last 10 years going to Clemson. What do you say, Kieran?
It's an unfortunate little brother for South Carolina. I mean, Clemson has clearly owned them in head-to-head matchups, 73-44. I mean, that's a pretty wide divide. 8-2 in the last 10 years. I mean, that's rough. Unless South Carolina just goes on a tear and beats the crap out of them for the next 15 years, which, unlikely, but still, it's very much Clemson is the big brother there.
Yeah, that is true. I forgot to put something in for the head-to-head records on this, so I'm just Googling that real quick. Next up, battle for Paul Bunyan Trophy. I did not give an answer. I agree with you. I think South Carolina could go on that run over the next 15 years based on which way the programs are going. Now, Beamer also has done phenomenally one year and then sucked the next, so who knows how that'll go. But, yeah, I hate to admit it, but South Carolina is little brother. Kieran, in Michigan State. Do I need to go over the records and all this, or are you just going to say Michigan State is little brother?
Oh, yeah. You don't you can just write that one directly off. That's Michigan State is absolutely the big brother. Or excuse me, Michigan is absolutely the big brother.
Okay. I didn't want to just do all. Initially, this was just all going to be SEC, by the way.
Gotcha.
So next up, Civil War, Oregon versus Oregon State. Oregon starting in 1894, Oregon State 1893. Oregon has 69 wins. Oregon State has 49. Oregon 718 wins versus Oregon State's 569. Both have 0 natties. Oregon is 17-20 in bowl games, while Oregon State is 12-8. Last 10, it is 7-2-3 Oregon. A lot closer than Oregon fans want to admit.
Yeah, this is very much an Irish Twins sort of situation. It's like Oregon State will beat Oregon on the day.
Yeah. It sucks for, I feel like a lot of these, like, yeah, no, there's clearly a little brother situation going on here. But they call them that for a reason. And I think we'll just go to the next one then, since this is not being a super fun topic, because we're just saying, yeah, no, what everyone thinks. This one has a story behind it.
Okay.
Holy War, Utah versus BYU. BYU first season in 1892, Utah in 1922. For the game, Utah says they have 36 wins. That's also another mix-up, I think. I was doing this at work. Cut me some slack.
Yeah, keep in mind, listeners, that this is not our full-time job.
Yeah, no. I don't want to just keep pulling up these on my phone, but you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. So per Utah has 62 wins and BYU has 36. Per BYU, Utah has 59 wins and they have 33 wins. And the reason for that is Utah argues that the series started in 1892 when BYU was Brigham Young Academy. BYU claims it started in 1922 when they were BYU and Utah was playing. That's definitely wrong. Then I got something else wrong. Yeah, I mixed up that whole thing. BYU started in 1922.
Okay.
Utah started in 1892. The CEO was trying to talk to me while I was doing this. Rude. But Utah 628 wins, BYU 723. BYU has 1 natty, Utah has 0. Did I just mix up these whole columns? There's like a good chance I did. Gonna cry. This is just not going well. Nope. All right. I did not mix up the whole columns. But Utah's 8 wins over the last 10. BYU is 2. Kieran, is BYU little brother?
No, this is not a little brother situation. Those records are way too close to be, even if you don't count the first, 20, 30 games that it was BYU Academy or whatever, that's still a really close record. These two are more like twins than anything else. Unless, the 8-2 run does seem like a little bit more, like confident that it's one-sided affair, but based on the records, no, that's really close.
That's fair. Yeah, I'd agree. It's close enough. BYU does have the natty, but it's just the one. And I think that makes up for Utah having some more overall wins.
Yep.
So, all right, back to the SEC and the ACC. Clean, old-fashioned hate. Georgia versus Georgia Tech. Both started in 1892. Georgia has a head-to-head record leading of 72-41. Georgia has 892 wins versus Georgia Tech 759. Both have 4 natties. Georgia is 38, 22, and 3 in bowl games. Georgia Tech is 26 and 20. Georgia's won 8 of the last 10. Historically, I would argue they're pretty similar.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I was hoping you were going to go Georgia as the big brother, so I'd have something to disagree with you. But I would argue that Georgia Tech with 41 head-to-head wins is mighty impressive. I know they probably got those back in 1892, but still, it's nothing to gawk at now.
Yeah, no, recently, yes, but I think,
yeah, even still, like 8-2 in the last 10 games. That means Georgia Tech has won twice in the last 10 years, which, if you were to just look at Georgia and see its trajectory over the past even 20 years, 25 years from 2000 to now, you'd be like, oh yeah, Georgia's absolutely the big brother in that relationship. But no, I think those 2 losses count for a lot more than Georgia fans would probably give them credit for.
Yeah. No,
this is not a big brother situation, is it?
Yeah, no, they're twins.
They are.
They're twinning. Next up, this one doesn't have a name, which made me almost not include it. Tennessee versus Vanderbilt. Kieran, is there any situation where Vanderbilt is the big brother to anyone outside of baseball?
Fuck. Sorry. That was the one thing I was going to say is is this baseball? And I would go, yes, they are the big brother. Sorry. We'll edit that swear word out.
No, unfortunately, it's Vanderbilt football, so they are little brother.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Next up, the Sunflower Showdown. Kansas versus Kansas State. This is another one where
contentious.
Kansas says they have 65 wins. Kansas State says Kansas has 64. Kansas State says they have 53 wins. Kansas State says Kansas said Kansas State has 52. That is because in 1980, Kansas was caught having a player who was not academically eligible. So he was ruled academically ineligible. 1982, the Big 8 forced them to forfeit 3 wins in 1 tie, which included the Governor's Cup game, which was this, and they call it that too. So they dispute that because Kansas still says, no, we win. We won. Kansas State says, yeah, but you had to forfeit, so no. But Kansas has 608 wins in their program history. Both teams are sub 500, by the way. Kansas State has 579. No natties. 7-7 in bowl games for Kansas, 12-14 for Kansas State. Kansas State is on a 16-game run. So I think Kansas is little brother.
Yeah, I would agree. You'd be contentious about the 64 versus 65 wins or the 52 53 wins or whomever is doing the record keeping. But if in the past 10 years, if you haven't won a single game, you are absolutely the little brother. And I know that kind of almost negates what I said about Georgia Tech's 2 wins, but this is very much a one-sided affair in our lifetime.
Yes.
Yes.
Very much so. The last time Kansas beat Kansas State, we were 12.
There you go.
So, all right. Cyhawk, Iowa versus Iowa State. Iowa's leading 47-24. Iowa has 702 wins in their program history. Iowa State has 560, sub 500. Iowa's 5 national titles. Bowl records, Iowa's 20-18-1. Iowa State is 6-13. Iowa is leading the last 10, 7-3. I do think Iowa is big brother here.
I would agree. But Iowa is the plucky upstart, let's call him.
No, that's fair.
A plucky upstart of a little brother. Somebody
A
that
plucky
you want
upstart that's been around since 1892.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody that you'd want to punch in the face, but you know you could get away with it because they're being a prick. All of these are just references to my brothers, by the way. If that wasn't abundantly clear.
That's true. I think Rocky Mountain Showdown, I think we could just say, I just want to talk about the name. That's a dope name.
Yeah.
I think Colorado's big brother over Colorado State. I don't know if we have to get into it.
No, it's one-sided. 69 wins. Haha, nice for Colorado to CSU's 22. Yeah, it's one-sided.
All right. Next up, Duel in the Desert, another dope name. Arizona versus Arizona State, both starting in the late 1890s. Arizona leads the overall series 51-45. 636 wins for Arizona, 643 for Arizona State. No natties for either. 10-11-1 for Arizona. 15-17-1 in bowl games for Arizona State. Arizona State is on an 8-2 run, however, with 1 vacated win. Twins?
Twins.
I was just going to go straight up Twins.
Yeah.
You got a 6-game swing in the head-to-head. No natties. Both sub 500 in bowl games. Both just above 500 in regular season games. I'm comfortable saying Twins.
Yeah, very much. Very much Twins. Unless ASU just continues to pile on these head-to-heads in the coming years, I am confident by just saying Twins.
That is a valid point. Also, we didn't really talk about Tennessee, Vandy. According to the record book, Tennessee is 5-3 in the last 10 because they had to vacate 2 wins. I just thought that was funny.
What are the wins? The vacated wins? What were they for? Like academic ineligibility?
Probably Jeremy Pruitt.
Okay,
like
all right, fair enough.
If I had to guess,
all right,
probably Pruitt. Let's look real quick. I don't care about the last game. Football, quote unquote, rivalry game results. Why did they have to vacate? Yep, Jeremy Pruitt. That's why.
Yeah, there it is.
Perfect. All right. Finally, we're going to show some love to the FCS here. I'm still rattled from that Holy War mistake. I just dropped the ball on that one. But the Cat Grizz game, Montana versus Montana State, 2 regular participants in the FCS playoffs. Montana, both founded in 1897. Montana's leading the series 75-43. Montana's 637, 515, and 26 in their history. Montana State is 548, 497, and 32. Montana has 2 national titles at the FCS level. Montana State has 3 at all levels, 1 NAIA, 1 D2, and 1 FCS. Montana State is leading the last 10 with a 6-4 record. Karen, what do you think? I'm conflicted.
Yeah, I'm a little conflicted as well. I'm gonna have to side with Montana. The 75-43 head-to-head is a pretty large deficit. Now, but you know, that's one of those things where I'm kind of negating what I said earlier about like Georgia or something, where it's 72-41 in favor of Georgia, but I would argue that Georgia Tech is the little brother, but not as much as they'd give him credit for. While this Montana State is very much the little brother based purely on head to head, but the 3 titles and the last 10 is 6. Is that bowl record or 6?
That is
sorry,
6 and
I'm reading.
4 head to head. Last 10.
Yeah. Then I'm like, that's also pretty close. There's a game in it. So that's a difficult one. The Cat Grizz game. That's something we're gonna have to really watch out for in the coming years to see who kind of takes the advantage, if anything. I don't know. I don't know if I want to make a decision.
I think Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the 4 and 6, it's close enough. Montana's big brother, obviously. Those 75 head-to-head wins are
too much to overcome.
Yeah, in a short amount of time. They're over 100 wins over 500. Montana State is about 50, and they spent a lot of time at the NAIA and D2 levels. And Montana has doubled them up when it comes to national titles at the FCS level with 2. Their most recent coming in 2001. Montana State's came in 1984. Okay, they weren't in D2 for that long then. They were... When did they leave these conferences? When did they join these conferences? Who knows? It does not give me a good conference time or division timeline. But I think it's Montana.
All right.
So, all right. There you have it. There are some big brother, little brothers, and what we think of them. Next week, Kieran, anything else actually you want to get to before we get out of here?
I think we're good.
All right. Starting next week, we're doing a new thing. We're going to go over conference histories, teams within those conferences, and if you're looking for a college football team, we're going to tell you who you should root for based on who you are as a person. So that'll be fun. If we don't do that next week, now I'm going to look like an idiot, but I think we're going to do that. Kieran, what conference you want to start with? I'll let you pick.
Let's go east to west. So let's start with the ACC.
All right. ACC next week. We're going to go through teams, conference history, tell you who to root for. Everyone have a good, safe, fun weekend. Make good choices. And we are another week closer to college football.
See ya.
They're eating the dogs, Kieran, in Tuscaloosa.
They're eating the dogs.
You know that?
They were eating
the dogs.
Oh, a meth raccoon.
Yeah.
Just awful. There is nothing good about this. It's the worst possible scenario for the CFP, for the national championship.
Notre Dame is a mid-program with really good marketing.
And the Michigan players are going to look at that, and anybody who's committing to Michigan in the next years will just go, I want to beat them even more. Like, I wanted to beat them when I first came to the school. Recruits are going to see this.
And we're also sorry that you have to watch a Brian Kelly coach football team. We can only imagine how difficult that must be for you, knowing that you're not going to win a big game ever with him as your coach, and that you're rooting for a child murderer.
This podcast has gone off to a really weird start, but I like it.
I love it, though. I'm a big fan.